Electricity has an important place in modern society. It is a controllable and convenient form of energy for a variety of uses in homes, schools, hospitals, industries, and so on. What constitutes electricity? How does it flow in an electric circuit? What are the factors that control or regulate the current through an electric circuit? In this chapter, we shall attempt to answer such questions. We shall also discuss the heating effect of electric current and its applications. Electric current and circuit. Electric current. When two charged bodies at different electric potentials are connected by a metal wire, then electric charges will flow from the body at higher potential to the one at lower potential, till they both acquire the same potential. This flow of charges in the metal wire constitutes an electric current. It is the potential difference between the ends of the wire which makes the electric charges, or current, to flow in the wire. We now know that the electric charges whose flow in a metal wire constitutes electric current are the negative charges called electrons. Keeping this in mind, we can now define electric current as follows. The electric current is a flow of electric charges, called electrons, in a conductor such as a metal wire. The magnitude of electric current in a conductor is the amount of electric charge passing through a given point of the conductor in 1 second. If a charge of q coulombs flows through a conductor in time t seconds, then the magnitude I of the electric current flowing through it is given by current equal to q by t. The C unit of electric charge is coulomb, which is denoted by the letter C. We can define this unit of charge as follows. 1 coulomb is that quantity of electric charge which exerts a force of 9 into 10 raised to the power 9 newtons on an equal charge placed at a distance of 1 meter from it. We now know that all the matter contains positively charged particles called protons and negatively charged particles called electrons. The SI unit of electric current is ampere, which is denoted by the letter A. We can use the above formula to obtain the definition of the unit of current called ampere. If we put charge Q1 coulomb and time t 1 second in the above formula, then current I becomes 1 ampere. This gives us the following definition of ampere. When 1 coulomb of charge flows through any cross-section of a conductor in 1 second, the electric current flowing through it is said to be 1 ampere. Sometimes, however, a smaller unit of current called milliampere is also used, which is denoted by mA. The small quantities of current are expressed in the unit of milliampere. mA. The very small quantities of current are expressed in a still smaller unit of current called microampere. Current is measured by an instrument called ammeter. The ammeter is always connected in series with the circuit in which the current is to be measured. Electric potential. When a small positive test charge is placed in the electric field due to another charge, it experiences a force. So, work has to be done on the positive test charge to move it against this force of repulsion. The electric potential, or potential, at a point in an electric field is defined as the work done in moving a unit positive charge from infinity to that point. Potential is denoted by the symbol V and its unit is volt. A potential of 1 volt at a point means that 1 joule of work is done in moving 1 unit positive charge from infinity to that point. Since the unit of charge is coulomb, so we can also say that a potential of 1 volt at a point means that 1 joule of work is done in moving 1 coulomb of positive charge from infinity to that point. Potential difference. The difference in electric potential between 2 points is known as potential difference. The potential difference between 2 points in an electric circuit is defined as the amount of work done in moving a unit charge from one point to the other point. If W joules of work has to be done to move Q coulombs of charge from one point to the other point, then the potential difference V between the 2 points is given by the formula V equals to W by Q, where W is work done and Q is quantity of charge moved. The C unit of potential difference is volt, which is denoted by the letter V. The potential difference between 2 points is said to be 1 volt if 1 joule of work is done in moving one coulomb of electric charge from one point to the other. The potential difference is measured by means of an instrument called voltmeter. The voltmeter is always connected in parallel across the 2 points where the potential difference is to be measured. A voltmeter has a high resistance so that it takes a negligible current from the circuit. The term volt gives rise to the word voltage. Voltage is the other name for potential difference. Ohm's law. In 1827, a German physicist Georg Simon Ohm found out the relationship between the current I flowing in a metallic wire and the potential difference across its terminals. The potential difference, V, across the ends of a given metallic wire in an electric circuit is directly proportional to the current flowing through it, provided its temperature remains the same. This is called Ohm's law, where R is a constant called resistance of the conductor. The value of this constant depends on the nature, length, area of cross-section and temperature of the conductor. The above equation can also be written as V by I equal to R, where V is potential difference, I is current and R is resistance. The above equation is a mathematical expression of Ohm's law. The ratio of potential difference applied between the ends of a conductor and the current flowing through it is a constant quantity called resistance. We have just seen that V by I equal to R. V equal to I into R, so current I equal to V by R. It is obvious from this relation that 1. The current is directly proportional to potential difference, and 2. The current is inversely proportional to resistance. Since the current is directly proportional to the potential difference applied across the ends of a conductor, it means that if the potential difference across the ends of a conductor is doubled, the current flowing through it also gets doubled, and if the potential difference is halved, the current also gets halved. On the other hand, the current is inversely proportional to resistance. So, if the resistance is doubled, the current gets halved, and if the resistance is halved, the current gets doubled. Thus, the strength of an electric current in a given conductor depends on two factors: A. Potential difference across the ends of the conductor, and DO. Resistance of the conductor. The electric current is a flow of electrons through a conductor. When the electrons move from one part of the conductor to the other part, they collide with other electrons and with the atoms and ions present in the body of the conductor. Due to these collisions, there is some obstruction or opposition to the flow of electron current through the conductor. The property of a conductor due to which it opposes the flow of current through it is called resistance. The resistance of a conductor is numerically equal to the ratio of potential difference across its ends to the current flowing through it. That is, resistance is equal to potential difference by current. The resistance of a conductor depends on length, thickness, nature of material and temperature of the conductor. A long wire, or conductor, has more resistance and a short wire has less resistance. Again, a thick wire has less resistance whereas a thin wire has more resistance. Rise in temperature of a wire increases its resistance. The SI unit of resistance is ohm, which is denoted by the symbol omega. The unit of resistance ohm can be defined by using Ohm's law as described below. According to Ohm's law, potential difference by current equal to resistance. So, resistance R equal to V by I. Now, if the potential difference V is 1 volt and the current I is 1 ampere, then resistance R in the above equation becomes 1 ohm. This gives us the following definition for ohm, 1 ohm is the resistance of a conductor such that when a potential difference of 1 volt is applied to its ends, a current of 1 ampere flows through it. If a graph is drawn between the potential difference readings, V, and the corresponding current values, I, the graph is found to be a straight line passing through the origin. A straight line graph can be obtained only if the two quantities are directly proportional to one another. Since the current potential difference graph is a straight line, we conclude that current is directly proportional to the potential difference. It is clear from the graph OA that as the potential difference V increases, the current I also increases, but the ratio V by I remains constant. This constant is called resistance of the conductor. Factors on which the resistance of a conductor depends. The electrical resistance of a conductor, or a wire, depends on the following factors: length of the conductor, area of cross-section of the conductor, or thickness of the conductor, nature of the material of the conductor, temperature of the conductor. Resistivity. The resistance of a given conductor is directly proportional to its length. The resistance of a given conductor is inversely proportional to its area of cross-section. Combining 1 and 2, we get where ρ is a constant known as resistivity of the material of the conductor. From equation 3, it is clear that for a given conductor having a specified length L and area of cross-section A, the resistance R is directly proportional to its RESISTIVITY. So, if we change the material of a conductor to one whose resistivity is 2 times, then the resistance will also become 2 times. And if we change the material of a conductor to one whose resistivity is 3 times, then the resistance will also become 3 times. If we rearrange equation 3, we can write it as, where R is resistance of the conductor, A is area of cross-section of the conductor, and L is length of the conductor. Now, to get the unit of resistivity, we should put the units of resistance R, area of cross-section A, and length L in the above equation. We get unit of resistivity equal to ohm into meter qua by meter. The C unit of resistivity is ohmmeter. The resistivity of a substance does not depend on its length or thickness. It depends on the nature of the substance and temperature. The resistivity of a substance is its characteristic property. So, we can use the resistivity values to compare the resistances of 2 or more substances. Resistors in series. The combined resistance, or resultant resistance, of a number of resistances or resistors connected in series is calculated by using the law of combination of resistances in series. According to the law of combination of resistances in series, the combined resistance of any number of resistances connected in series is equal to the sum of the individual resistances. For example, if a number of resistances R1, R2, R3 are connected in series, then their combined resistance R is given by R equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3 and so on. Figure shows 3 resistances R1, R2 and R3 connected in series. A battery of V volts has been applied to the ends of this series combination of resistances. Now, suppose the potential difference across the resistance R1 is V1, the potential difference across the resistance R2 is V2, and that across resistance R3 is V3. We have applied a battery of voltage V, so the total potential difference across the 3 resistances should be equal to the voltage of the battery applied. That is, V equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3. Total potential difference due to battery is V. Now, let the total resistance of the combination be R. The current flowing through the whole circuit is I. So, applying Ohm's law to the whole circuit, we get V equal to I into R. Since the same current I flows through all the resistances R1, R2 and R3 in series, so by applying Ohm's law to each resistance separately, putting these values of V, V1, V2 and V3 in equation 1, we get I into R equal to I into R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus and so on. Cancelling I from both sides, we get R equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3. Thus, if three resistors R1, R2, and R3 are connected in series, then their total resistance R is given by the formula. Resistors in parallel. The combined resistance or resultant resistance of a number of resistances or resistors connected in parallel can be calculated by using the law of combination of resistances in parallel. According to the law of combination of resistances in parallel, the reciprocal of the combined resistance of a number of resistances connected in parallel is equal to the sum of the reciprocals of all the individual resistances. For example, if a number of resistances R1, R2, R3, etc. are connected in parallel, then their combined resistance R is given by the formula 1 by R equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3 and so on. When a number of resistances are connected in parallel, then their combined resistance is less than the smallest individual resistance. This is due to the fact that when we have two or more resistances joined parallel to one another, then the same current gets additional paths to flow and the overall resistance decreases. Before we derive a formula for the resultant resistance of a number of resistances connected in parallel, we should keep in mind that when a number of resistances are connected in parallel, then the potential difference across each resistance is the same, which is equal to the voltage of the battery applied. When a number of resistances connected in parallel are joined to the two terminals of a battery, then different amounts of current flow through each resistance, which depends on the value of resistance. But the current flowing through all the individual parallel resistances, taken together, is equal to the current flowing in the circuit as a whole. Thus, when a number of resistances are connected in parallel, then the sum of the currents flowing through all the resistances is equal to the total current flowing in the circuit. In figure, three resistances R1, R2 and R3 are connected parallel to one another between the same 2 points A and B. A battery of V volts has been applied across the ends of this combination. In this case, the potential difference across the ends of all the three resistances will be the same, and it will be equal to the voltage of the battery used. The current flowing through the three resistances connected in parallel is, however, not the same. Suppose the total current flowing through the circuit is I, then the current passing through resistance R1 will be I1, the current passing through resistance R2 will be I2, and that through R3 will be I3. Total current, I1 plus I2 plus I3. Since the potential difference V across all the three resistances R1, R2 and R3 in parallel is the same, so by applying Ohm's law to each resistance separately, we get, putting these values of I1, I2 and I3 in equation 1, we get, cancelling V from both sides. Thus, if three resistances R1, R2 and R3 are connected in parallel, then their resultant resistance R is given by the formula 1 by R equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3 and so on. Heating effect of current. When an electric current is passed through a high resistance wire, like nichrome wire, the resistance wire becomes very hot and produces heat. This is called the heating effect of current. The heating effect of current is obtained by the transformation of electrical energy into heat energy. We will now derive a formula for calculating the heat produced when an electric current flows through a resistance wire. Since a conductor, say a resistance wire, offers resistance to the flow of current, so work must be done by the current continuously to keep itself flowing. We will calculate the work done by a current I when it flows through a resistance R for time t. Now, when an electric charge Q moves against a potential difference V, the amount of work done is given by WQ into V. current I equal to Q by T dot soak equals to I into T. And from Ohm's law, we have potential difference VI into R. Now, putting Qi into T and Vi into R in equation 1, we get W equals to I square into R into T. Assuming that all the electrical work done or all the electrical energy consumed is converted into heat energy, we can write heat produced in place of work done in the above equation. Thus, heat produced, H equals to I square into R into T joules. This formula gives us the heat produced in joules when a current of I amperes flows in a wire of resistance R ohms for time T seconds. This is known as Joule's law of heating. According to Joule's law of heating given by the formula, it is clear that the heat produced in a wire is directly proportional to 1 square of current, though dot resistance of wire, 3 time T, for which current is passed. Electric power. When an electric current flows through a conductor, electrical energy is used up and we say that the current is doing work. We know that the rate of doing work is called power, so electric power is the electrical work done per unit time. The work done W by current I when it flows for time T under a potential difference V is given by W equals to V into I into T joules. Putting this value of W in equation 1, we get P equals to V into I joules per second, or power, P into V into I watts, where V equals to potential difference, or voltage, in volts and I equals to current in amperes. The formula P equals to V into I for defining the unit of power called watt. Power, P equals to V into I watts. If an electrical device is operated at a potential difference of 1 volt and the device carries a current of 1 ampere, then power becomes 1 watt. That is, 1 watt equals 1 volt into 1 ampere. This unit of power is called watt. Thus, the C unit of electric power is watt, which is denoted by the letter W. The power of 1 watt is a rate of working of 1 joule per second. Actually, watt is a small unit, therefore, a bigger unit of electric power called kilowatt is used for commercial purposes. 1 kilowatt equals to 1000 watt. Electric power is the electrical energy consumed per second.